This is a video I wanted to do a long time ago, but I just hadn't got around to it until now. Now this is only a tip of the iceberg, but I am going to be touching on some of the pop culture references in AQ3D. Now before I get into the references, I just wanted to give a big thank you to everybody who contributed to this video. If you are not aware, I run a Discord server, and on that Discord server I had a channel specifically for references of pulp culture. Now I'm going to leave that channel up. That is going to become a permanent channel because there's always new references, and I love going in and checking to see what new references has been added and things like that. People post on that. So keep it up because I will most likely be doing another video on the pulp culture references. Ones, of course, that I have not covered in this video. Now, this is only some of the references that were mentioned, not all, because the video would just go on too long. So if you want to check that channel out, it is on my Discord server, which I'll put a link to that in the description below. But thanks to all of you AEF members who helped with this, because it would have been a lot more difficult without your help. Now let's get right into the references. The first one we're going to do is the intro. Now, if you remember that you get pummeled by the main villain of AQ3D and you get shot across the universe. Now, this is a reference to the shooting star meme. I don't want to get in trouble, so I'm not going to play the music, but if you've seen that meme, then you know what I'm talking about. Next one is a travel form, Bush Root. This is based off of the Darkwing Duck villain. Darkwing Duck was a TV show, a cartoon. Next we have the One Piece. Now this is obviously a reference to the anime One Piece, and of course the outfit looks strikingly similar. Speaking of animes, if you've seen Full Metal Alchemist, then this family picture, which is found in the bank, probably looks familiar. If, like me, you are a Nightmare Before Christmas fan, then you would have recognized Jack Skellington being a very similar name to someone who appears in the Nightmare Before Christmas movie. This mob was found in the Mistcroft Manor area, a reference from Futurama. Now, I don't actually know if this is legit or not, but I am going to run with it because it is quite similar. You have the brain slime from Futurama, and this brain slime is available in AQ3D. This is the one you can find in the Yalgur's Inn. With your many visits to the bank, you may have stumbled upon Edgar Allan and Poe. This is, of course, a reference to the author of that name. And speaking of the bank, if you go down into the depths of the bank, you are going to find a craft shop with some rather familiar items. Key swords and key staffs. These are obviously a reference to Kingdom Hearts, the video game. If you like some iconic figures, then you might recognize Shrade, because he bears a striking resemblance to Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th. You also have a Dreadfool, and this looks strikingly similar to Deadpool. It's actually not based on Deadpool, it's actually based on another character who plays a Deadpool type character. He's a YouTuber. If you visit the barber shop, you are going to find some magazines in the barber shop. And every single one of these magazines, including the one that has my name on it, dun, 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 but all of these magazines have references, and I mean, there's too many to name, so you can just go through each single one and find the references yourself, because I just don't have time to do it. But in the barbershop, you will also stumble upon Snips, and he is a clear reference to Edward Scissorhands. Now, if you don't know what that is, it is a movie from Tim Burton, which is the same person that did Nightmare Before Christmas. And while you're in the barber, you might as well head down to the basement. Down there, you are going to find a reference to Sweeney Todd. And ironically, this is another Tim Burton movie. Okay, next is, actually no, let's go back to the bank, because there you're going to find a character named Schrute. This is based off of a character from the Office series, which is a TV show, Dwight Schrute. Jumping into the World Tree, you can obtain the Grey Panther helm. in the description, there is a clear reference to the Black Panther movie. And speaking of movie references, if you take a look at the Bush Route travel form description, you are going to find a very obvious reference to I Am Groot. Running with the movie theme, jumping into the Rock Edge Mine, you are going to find Smeagol. Now this is a very clear reference to a Lord of the Rings character. If you were present for the April Fool's event, then you might have discovered tons of references to an actor known as Nicolas Cage. This includes the travel forms. And actually jumping back into the bank, how many bank things are we going to do here? There is an owl from Harry Potter. And while you're in there, you might as well grab your Star Wars related stuff. Of course, if you've seen the Star Swords, that is actually from the older games of AE, like AQ Worlds and stuff, but it is an obvious relation to lightsabers. You can also get some Moglin pets and an outfit which looks very Star Wars-y. Now these items were only available during the May 4th event. And speaking of Star Wars, if you head to the Dreadful area, which is of course accessed through the Green Guard area, and in the basement you are going to find a very familiar thing. If you've seen Star Wars, then you would know this is obviously a direct relation to that. Jumping over to Lalosia, you might find a familiar face. The reason why I say that is because if you know a certain rapper who runs by the name Slim Shady, this might look familiar. There is a book next to Cena in Ashfall, and if you read it, it makes a clear reference to the girl with a dragon tattoo. And actually jumping back to the Dreadful area, you are going to find a Moglin named Wilson. This is a clear reference to Wilson from the Castaway movie. And speaking of the Castaway movie, there is a title that is obviously from that movie. And speaking of titles, if you take a look at the Forever Fade title, you will see a clear reference to the Narnia series, more specifically the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And running with the title thing, if you check out Spelunker, you're going to notice that that is a reference to the old video game. Another title reference is the Firezilla Challenge. If you read the description, it's making a clear reference to the Pacific Rim. That's a movie. Jumping to Greengard, you are going to find a rock with a sword in it. This is a clear reference to the Sword in the Stone. If you're a Star Trek fan like myself, then you would have recognized Captain Picard. Over in Darkovia Forest, you are going to find this character, which looks very similar to the Red Riding Hood. Over in Ashfall, you are going to find a book called This, which is very similar to the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. While I'm in that area, of course, if you've seen the Cinnabuns, well, this is an obvious reference to Cinnabuns. And in Darkovia, you're going to run into Shadow Slayer W. Take a close look, because this looks very similar to Vampire Hunter D. Trollochstein is, of course, Frankenstein. And there are a lot of other mob references that I could use, but they are just too many to list, so I'm not going to. But in the Tavern of Darkovia, right next to Squee, hi Squee, how's it going? You're going to find 3 bear skins, which is an obvious reference to Goldilocks and the 3 bears. And you know what? We're going back to the barber shop, because I forgot to point out something else. In the barber shop, in the actual shop, you're going to find the Head of Horns. This is actually another Star Wars reference, as it is directly targeting Darth Maul. Heading over to the pet shop, you are going to find a mouse picture. The description is obviously referencing to Amazon. And while we're talking about pets, well, I mean, because we're in a pet shop, there were 3 ghost pets that were available for a limited time during the Mogloween event. These were named after the Pac-Man enemies. Jumping into Cicero's shop in Babylon, you are going to find the body spray Axe. This is a reference to Axe, the body spray. Does Trunk Master Snod look strikingly similar to a character you might know from the game called Zelda? If so, you might be thinking of Link. If you have the complete Daywalker look, then you might be looking rather similar to Blade from the series Blade. And it's also a comic book. The hero of the Sun Boots, which you can find from the treasure chest, has a description, and if you read that description, it is obviously a reference to Walking on Sunshine, the song. And before I close this video, one last reference, and like I said, there's a lot more out there. This is just a tip of the iceberg. But the title, I Owe You a Whip, is actually a reference to the Castlevania series, because in that series, basically they all have whips. There are tons of other references out there, but I hope this was informative and I hope you guys enjoyed. If you really did enjoy this, then I will be making another one based on other references eventually. This video was actually something I was supposed to make a long time ago. I just didn't get around to it. So that is it. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you want to check out my Twitter or the AE Federation, you can check the links in the description below. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.